Boy, is it exciting anytime these two players meet. In round 4 of the 2017 Tata Steel chess tournament held in Wyken-Zee, the first Super Grandmaster event of every chess year, Magnus Carlsen played Wei Yi with the white pieces, and this position occurred on the board. What you may not know is that this is truly the critical moment of this game. It's surprising because there's still equal material for everybody. It doesn't feel like either side is about to lose the thread, but there are two potentially very big weaknesses in this position for black. They are the bishop on g6 and the pawn on d6. Now, I've been a little bit vague by highlighting those weaknesses, but that's because I want to give you a chance with just that small amount of information to think and play like Magnus Carlsen himself. So on that note, you have a moment to pause the video and think, how would you try to execute a plan that maybe takes advantage of the bishop and the pawn at the same time? Okay, assuming you paused the video, it's time to continue. The move played was the move evaluated right here in front of you by Stockfish. That is queen to c1. Now, forget about the computer's reasons for this move in the evaluation. Let's try to learn from this. What is it about this move that is so strong? Well, as long as this queen maintains her very, very strong outpost here, not only is she sort of threatening at the dark squares, kind of a bluff, but the main thing she's doing is both preventing this f-pawn from expanding to expose this bishop, and she's also keeping an eye on her own potential weakness on d6. Neither one of those things is really an issue as long as the queen is on the board maintaining her control. So queen to c1, as subtle as it is also very, very critical for white to gain a potential advantage in this position. The queens were traded because the plan I highlighted about this pawn running wild is exactly why you wouldn't see certainly a move like queen e5. Now f4 comes in with tempo, and then Bob's your uncle there on g6. And if you play queen f6, really white has no reason but not to just go full steam ahead anyway. Even if I'm not trapping the bishop by force, gaining this kind of space and launching an attack over here is not something that the young Chinese wanted to deal with. Because of that, he took on c1 and now started to see the bigger picture in the position and realized that this d6 pawn is not something he really wants white to have time to gang up on. This is a very instructive point for everybody at home too, because you start to realize that developing plans at a high level is about bigger picture thinking, seeing the forest through the trees. You have to recognize that if white is given time here, you might see this bishop go to b3, holding d5. You might see Magnus start to prepare a plan of doubling the rooks on the d file. And if you sort of remove all the smoke of where the pieces are now and just think about where do you want your pieces to be, you can see that black might have some problems here with this d6 pawn being a backward pawn. A backward pawn is a pawn that cannot be defended by pawns, must be defended by pieces, and it's a big weakness here. Because of that, Wei Yi played the move d5, but Magnus Carlsen was ready. He played e5, counteracting this idea. He doesn't want to make a big trade and simplify, and certainly doesn't want to bring this pony into a square where he might get active on the dark squares. Instead, Magnus plays e5, and we suddenly see that white has a huge space advantage. Even if I don't get to trap the bishop if I'm white, this pawn majority is going to lead to good things, only good things. After knight to c5, Wei Yi does establish the pony on a better square than it was initially, certainly on d7, but it came with a price. Surprisingly, the knight on e4 actually allows white to play an aggressive plan and take advantage of this pawn's new duties. The new duties are that this pawn must guard the knight on e4. So first, Magnus Carlsen finds a very good move here to take advantage of this knight ever getting out of this precarious position. He plays the move b4, exclam, takes away the move knight to c5, guards that square. And now, after the move g5, of course, a very good attempt by Wei Yi to try to undermine the center. Obviously, we can see here if Magnus Carlsen captures, then Wei Yi would be more than happy with that. But Magnus is just ignoring, full steam ahead. Again, the point is this pawn is now overworked. An overworked piece has too many responsibilities. Of course, white would want to get the c-file, so if any random move is made, we'll see that the capture here is going to force pawn capture, because if rook takes, we'll win the knight. And now the c-file becomes a serious problem. So you're starting to see how all of these bigger picture plans are coming together for white. Now, does that mean that Wei Yi was lost here? Probably not quite yet. In the game, he probably could have taken on f4 even after c4, and then played the move f6. Though, as Magnus Carlsen said himself about this position in the commentary room at the Yasser Seirawan, does black really have a blockade? Magnus joked that he doesn't really believe in blockades, even with this knight and pawn guarding everything for the king to enter. Probably white can both consider capturing here to try to get the c-file, as well as c5 to try to kick that knight. White is certainly the aggressor, and it would have been a tough position for Wei Yi to defend. But lost, it was not. The young Chinese did not go for that. Instead, he got a little panicked. He played the move c5, which, as you can start to see from our buddy Stockfish above my head, really gives white some big advantages. After knight to b5, these pawns are just undermined. They can't move because the knight hangs, but if they just sit, we're just going to start capturing. And in fact, it was so precarious for black that after just 2 more moves, Wei Yi shocked everybody, including those in the commentary move, by just resigning in this position. He simply threw in the towel. Of course, the computer evaluation doesn't disagree that black is losing. I mean, white is almost up a full piece. A couple of protected passed pawns. Moves like rook takes d5 lose to the move knight to c7, which applies a fork of the rooks, and the knight is still hanging. But maybe Wei Yi could have played knight to c3, and after captures, white needs to find either king to e4 or rook to d3 to guard this pawn. Don't just go for a big trade. We're sure Magnus Carlsen would have played a move like that and maintained a very easily winning advantage. Nonetheless, a little surprising that Wei Yi resigned so quickly. So on that note, we have now shown you the critical moment of this very exciting game. Of course, we look forward to many matchups in the future. We always feel like we're looking into the lens of the future when Magnus Carlsen and Wei Yi play each other. You can get more from this game in the video library at Chess.com, and of course, you can follow everything you need to about the Tata Steel chess tournament over at Chess.com's news division with Peter Dawkers on site. Thanks for watching. Give us some love, give us a like, give us a share, and we will catch you later on Chess.com.